Hey YouTube, what's happening? This is We All Juggle Knives, and you are at Multitool Monday for my review of this. The Multi-Cut. As seen on TV. They also sell them on Amazon. I will include a link if you want one. So this tool is kind of like some shears, except instead of two blades, it has a single blade and then what they call the anvil opposite it, right? Which is a cutting surface, right? And the single blade, it's replaceable. This also comes with 4 extra blades that are stored in the handle you see there. All right, so that's included. That's pretty cool. Now this has a lock that you can use to open or to lock the multi-cut. And that there's a switch on each side, right? So the lock is ambidextrous. Now you can also use this as a utility cutter, right? If you slide that part in. All right, we have a lot of usage footage coming up. Most of this video is just going to be me cutting random stuff, right? Not really random. This is the warm up. We're cutting some twine, and it cuts it really well. Yeah, I got this at the dollar store. That's one of the good things at the dollar store here. You can get that for $1. Some paracord. It cuts the paracord really well and really cleanly, I must say, yeah. And if you make a lot of paracord wraps like, for tomahawks or knife handles, as I do, you'll appreciate something that can really cleanly cut the cord. Alright, and then I usually just burn the ends with a lighter. Here is some rubber tubing. You ever wonder where Ranger bands come from? They come from my backyard. Now, this is, it's from a bike tire. This is more rubber tubing from an even larger bike tire. It's doing pretty well at this stuff so far. Yeah, you can make your own Ranger bands or XL Ranger bands, and in this case. Now, the price on this multi-cut is usually between $35 to as low as $25, as far as what I've seen. Here it is cutting some cardboard with tape on it. Yeah, this is when your wife walks in and she's like, "Are you watching someone cut cardboard on the internet?" And you're like, no, I'm not. You like hide it. You like hide it as if it's like donkey porn or something, and then she pulls your hand away and she sees you are watching more multi-tool videos, and you're like, and she's like, "You have enough tools. You don't need any more tools." And you're just like, "I want a divorce now." All right, here's some electrical tape and the horse it rode in on. This thing is really good at cutting cardboard. I will give it that. Probably because it's like a super thin razor blade, essentially. Here's some, what the fuck, nylon. Oops, sorry, not family friendly anymore. Now this is nylon webbing, or it's from that old sheath, but it's going to symbolize any like nylon straps you may have to cut. Yeah, this is an old sheath from some cheap stainless steel machete that has long since died. And now the sheath dies too. So that sheath is 2 layers, right? 2 layers of nylon and then some like fake leather, kind of rubbery material in between. Alright, some very soft, or should I say thin wire, which it can easily cut. Yeah, sorry about the wind noise, by the way. We don't control the wind. Or do we? Conspiracy theory time. No, I'm kidding. Have you ever tried to talk for like 10 minutes straight and remain interesting? It's a challenge, let me tell you that. Alright, some thicker wire. Yeah, now I gotta warn you, when you cut this thicker wire with like the blade part, it will dent the blade. Now you could also cut this wire with the wire cutting part, but it doesn't really cut it cleanly because there's only one cutter, so I just cut it with the blade. Alright, here's clamshell packaging. Now they promised me, at least on the package of the multi-cut, that you can cut clamshell packaging. And they weren't lying. They weren't lying. Stay tuned for my review of this Multitool, by the way. It's like a German company's Multitool shears. However, it's made in China, but that's coming up. But as you see, the multi-cut can indeed cut the clamshell packaging. You just have to press hard, or squeeze hard, I should say. This can cut anything if you can squeeze hard enough. Alright, except for like diamonds or something that's just harder than the tool itself. But yeah, if you can squeeze hard enough, you can cut like big tree limbs and stuff. Speaking of tree limbs, you can use this for pruning and gardening. Alright, here we are at the bush of machete testing. Is there anything we haven't done to this bush? Well, we haven't lit it on fire. But don't worry, it will come back stronger than ever as soon as it warms up, which will not be for a long time. But yeah, on the packaging, they said you could cut tree limbs. Well, you know, limbs is a stretch, but I mean, I think they meant branches, little branches and twigs like this. It cuts them really well. You know, for larger diameter, you know, how hard can you squeeze this thing is the question. And again, because it's one blade and then the anvil, you kind of do have to apply more force. Alright, they promised me, as you can see, this is on the packaging, they promised I could cut like triple strand copper wire cable. I happen to have some similar wire. There it is, 3 strands of copper. And we're going to cut it with the wire cutting part, which is titanium coated, they say. Alright, as you can see, it did cut the wire. Alright, it doesn't, I'm just using a little blade part to cut the last little part of the rubber. And again, because there's only one cutter and then the anvil, you kind of do have to apply like a lot more force than if you had like a more conventional wire cutter. And also, it doesn't really cut the rubber part cleanly, you know, because it's not like a razor blade on that part. So, like sometimes I cut through the wire, but I'm not sure if I cut through it all. But in the end, I must admit that they did follow through on their end of the bargain, so to speak. They said you could cut this, and it can cut it. So that's useful. But the main, you know, it's a 3-in-1 tool, but really the main useful part is just that replaceable razor blade cutter. Alright, the third function of this, you got to push that part down, right, so that now the blade sticks out a little bit. And you can use this to cut cardboard, but it's more like scoring, like you can use it to cut carpet in the same manner as well. And you can use it to score like floor tiles and so forth. And as you can see, it works pretty good for that purpose. I didn't have any carpet, but I watched a lot of other videos, and trust me, this thing can cut some carpet. I've seen several people do that. So yeah, tile, carpet, cardboard. Now, one of my viewers worked in a carpet factory, and he said several people cut their fingers off doing, you know, basically cutting like I was, but, you know, cutting carpets and not watching where their fingers were placed. So be careful, yeah. Alright, cutting these plastic bindings that were around a package. Yeah, it cuts them pretty easily too. So this would be really good if you work in like shipping, stocking, inventory, any place where you're constantly have to like open packaging or cut cardboard. Final thoughts on the multi-cut. It's pretty useful for cutting soft things. It will cut them more cleanly than scissors, simply because with the replaceable blades, I mean, they can use a blade that's so freaking thin that it'll just slice through things better than, you know, the thicker blades on scissors and shears. It's not like a bolt cutter though. The wire cutter part is kind of useful, but it's not really as good as a dedicated wire cutter at all, definitely. And the scoring function, or the utility knife, is kind of useful too, but I mean, you could just use a box cutter for that. So in the end, I do think it's worth the fairly low price, but you have to know what it's good for and what its limitations are. Basically, it's super good at cutting paracord, nylon, any type of twine, like thin wire, and stuff like rose bushes and stuff in the backyard. I mean, the replaceable blade is almost like scalpel thin, so it's freaking sharp. Alright, please check out the Amazon links in the text description box for the master list of multi-tools of all brands. Please try to use those links. They do help support the channel. This has been We All Juggle Knives Multi-Tool Monday. I'm out.